some multiplayer maps and appreciate their scenery and their design and relax a little bit in these familiar environments. This map is Valhalla, and its little blurb description is: the crew of V-398 barely survived their unplanned landing in this gorge, this curious gorge. And we can find V-398 in this map, and we'll go explore that in a bit. Valhalla is kind of an evolution of Blood Gulch, the classic map from Halo Combat Evolved, although it is significantly modified. It's more of a spiritual successor than a straight-up remake. And the name Valhalla is, of course, a reference to Norse mythology, where Valhalla is the sort of afterlife for great warriors, where they fight during the day and then feast and drink in the evenings. Valhalla is basically point-for-point remade in Skyrim, in the Skyrim mythology, although in Skyrim it is called Sovngarde, not Valhalla. So Halo 3 is a 2007 video game. It follows Halo 2 from 2004 and Halo CE from 2001. And it is the conclusion to the story of those two games, forming a trilogy. It concludes the story of humanity's war with the Alien Covenant faction, as well as the threat of the Flood, the parasitic life form that threatens all life in the galaxy. Although this valley is mostly green, we have some snow here. And on some higher rock faces, there's some snow as well, as you can see off there in the distance. And my understanding is this was originally designed as a snowy map, but the change was made to make it a little more foresty rather than just another ice and snow map. And Valhalla was remade in Halo 4, 2012's Halo 4, and in that game the map was called Ragnarok. And this is a very lovely map to me, just this peaceful valley, cold river snaking through the valley into whatever large body of water that is, a lake or an ocean or something. And here we can see some lights, some signs of human presence. And these are remnants of the crew And that is, of course, this Pelican, this downed ship. This is a standard ship used in the UNSC. The UNSC stands for United Nations Space Command. And it is the sort of space force of Earth and humanity. Or at least the unified government. There are some rebel factions and such in the Halo lore that do not align with the UNSC. But I love the mixture in this map of the Forerunner architecture, the very striking kind of gray alloy material that seems to blend so naturally with the surrounding alpine sort of terrain. Pine trees and the snow and the shrubs and the ferns. And here we have a large waterfall feeding the river that rolls its way down to the coast. Can anybody tell me why my neighbor always turns their washing machine on right when I start to record a video? Do they hate me? I hope that you can't hear that. So, just like in Blood Gulch, this map is a valley with a base on either end. And so this base here, modified for Halo 3, comes instead of with a teleporter, with these gravity manipulation devices called man cannons. Or gravity manipulation might be not the right way of putting it. I think they're just, well, no, I think they are grav lifts. I think that's the technology that powers them. But yeah, you step in and they go flying, I think. Okay, I thought an object like that would go flying into the air, but this definitely will. Off it goes, and kaboom. A little missile launch there. And we can step into this man cannon and throw ourselves safely through the air, soaring like a little bird into the river over here. And there is a little Easter egg on this map. We won't be seeing it today, but it's a similar Easter egg to the one on the map Zanzibar from Halo 2. On Zanzibar, if you played the map on certain days, a little sign by the river would have certain words or images on it. And also, I just love this wall here, this giant, towering structure. The Forerunner architecture in Halo 3 is so beautiful to me. Right around here, on that wall, there's a similar Easter egg where when you play on certain days, there will be certain icons that appear. And I'm trying to knock down this tower. And I'm failing miserably. But look at this, isn't that just a beautiful sight? The mountains in the distance, the waterfall, the river, the rocks, the trees, the grass. Halo 3's environments are gorgeous. I talked a little bit about, in my Halo 2 Wandering in Maps video, about, and this is Sandtrap, the map Sandtrap, and its blurb is, although the brute occupiers have been driven from this ancient structure, they left plenty to remember them by. As I was saying, I talked in my Halo 2 video about how I thought also look at that Navy frigate up there. That's another UNSC ship, although much bigger than a Pelican, of course. That's the frigate, the Aegis Fate. I'd always assumed it was the Forward Unto Dawn, a major ship from the Halo 3 campaign, but I looked it up before recording just to double check, and it turns out it's actually the Aegis Fate. Anyway, in my Halo 2 video, I talked about how, for my personal taste, it felt like Halo 2's graphics fell into a sort of uncanny valley a little bit, or, that's not the right word, just sort of an awkward spot between graphics that are so old and so old-fashioned that they sort of become an aesthetic in themselves, and more modern graphics like Halo 3 here, where it still looks quite modern. I don't know, to me, I mean, it's obviously not modern. The game came out a very long time ago. 15 years now at this point? More than that. Almost 20 years. But you know, it's still a good-looking game. It looks like, you know, it looks more like modern graphics to me than it looks like Halo CE graphics. Let's put it that way. But yeah, I talked about how Halo 2's graphics, I felt, were too modern to look like, to sort of develop their own aesthetic, nostalgia, or something around them. But not modern enough to really look, I don't want to say look good, because I think the graphics in Halo 2 do look good for what they are, but they just feel very clunky in a way that Halo 3's graphics don't. But yeah, all that is to say that as we're wandering around and appreciating these graphics, I feel as though Halo 3 took a big step forward in graphical fidelity and detail. But let's talk about the map here. Sandtrap. This is kind of a variant of the map Sandbox in this game, which was a Forge map. A map designed for Forge. And Forge was a new game mode added that allowed people to create their own maps and, you know, design game modes and stuff. And this is an elephant, a new vehicle added to this game. This one is the blue team's elephant, with this little graphic here, and the word Leviathan on it. So elephants are a fun vehicle because they're these kind of rolling mobile bases, pretty much. Little troop carrier vehicles. And in Halo Wars, the Halo RTS game, when you build an elephant, you can train Marines from the elephant, which was a nice ability. Here we have a data screen that gives us details on the elephant, talks about its capabilities, its turret, its armor plating, and this screen gives us details about the map. Sandtrap, this buried old ruin in the sand. And I'd always assumed that we were on the Ark, a major location in Halo 3. But when I looked up that fact about the frigate, apparently it's not confirmed that we are on the Ark. And of course you can drive the elephant. This is always a lot of fun. The physics interactions with the elephant and the fact that you can basically drive this terrain piece around and have people fighting on the elephant while you're driving the elephant. It was always a lot of fun. These ruins are cool. Kind of a unique style in the Halo games. And here's a special elephant turret. A unique design. In Halo 4, they introduce a sort of jacked up version of the elephant, which is called, I believe, a mammoth, if I remember correctly. We've got some turret components here. Presumably, I mean, it has a picture of a turret on it. And then some sort of biohazard container here, marked with a biohazard symbol. And let's travel into the ruins here, see what's hanging out inside. There's lots of cool stuff on this map. Sort of Easter eggs and things like that. We won't go into them all. We're mainly just here to take in the sights. But it's this cool, like, I don't know, almost pyramid-like ruins. All this sand and brown stone and mysterious images and glyphs and carvings on the walls. Gives the whole place an air of mystery. The blurb talked about the brutes previously occupying the ruins here. Look at that pillar. It's like the Rosetta Stone or something. Just this giant chunk covered in script of some kind. But yeah, the brutes occupied this place before, and so that explains the crashed Phantom from earlier, and the brute choppers hanging around. A new vehicle introduced in Halo 3, the brute chopper. A single rider vehicle that has these kind of punchy gun turrets on it. It's a cool vehicle. It has a very unique feel to drive, the way that you can kind of roll it around and take sharp turns, and it's a cool vehicle. In my last video, well, my Halo 2 video, I'm kind of considering these Halo videos like a series. I'm gonna do Halo Reach as well. Maybe Halo ODST, Halo 3 ODST. Check out, wandering through the city of New Mombasa at night. I thought that could be a relaxing exploration of the map. But in my Halo 2 video, I talked about how I was trying to remember the alien names. Oh, and here we have the other team's symbol, the behemoth, a big red creature. Looks like a big fat buffalo or something. And I was struggling to remember the alien names. And I called the grunts, or I was trying to think of the grunt's name, and I thought they were called Ugnoi, but I was like, that doesn't sound quite right. So I refreshed my memory on the aliens. And the grunts are the Ungoi, of course. Once I saw the names, it all came back, but, or at least not, the more obvious ones. But let's see if I can even remember them now. The jackals are the Kigyar, that's an easy one. The brutes are the Jiralhane, they're called the Jiralhane. And maybe I should describe these guys in case you're unfamiliar. The brutes, or the Jiralhane, are these large monkey-esque humanoids, kind of ape-like. This map is Isolation. Its blurb is, containment protocols are almost impervious to pre-grave mind infestations. What could possibly go wrong? What's kind of cool about this map is you can see these sentinels and constructors in the sky. That's a sentinel. And the little guys from before that are the constructors. And you can destroy them if you shoot them. But I'm not going to, because we're trying to be peaceful today. This is kind of a cool map, this little walled off area. These trees look like something you'd see on the Serengeti. Also, we're on the Ark. As you can see in the sky, that's the Milky Way up there. The Milky Way galaxy. And the Ark is a space station. A giant, world-sized space station. I mean, world-sized, it's bigger than world-sized, really. It's massive. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about the lore in a bit, but I should go back to my talk about the aliens as we're appreciating this Forerunner architecture. So the brutes are the ape-like humanoids, the Jiralhane, and then you have the San Shayum, who are called the prophets, and they are these long-necked alien. They look the most like, they're the closest to like a sort of classic alien look, in my opinion. They've got the kind of big bulbous heads, a long neck, long fingers. They're sort of a very alien-esque alien. the leaders of the Covenant. But they do not fight on the front lines. They are not warriors. They use the other aliens to fight for them. Also, what's very cool about this map is you can see in there that something has gone quite wrong here. If we look up here, we can see some strange growths on the wall. And you who know Halo will know what these gross, fleshy things are, of course. These are signs of flood infestation. The flood, the alien parasites. The Kigyar, or the jackals, they're these sort of bird-like, well, not bird-like, sort of half reptile, half bird things, humanoid. They underwent a significant design change, but so there's a sort of more scaly bird-like version, and there's an almost a more sort of dinosaur version, I guess. But yeah, the jackals, the Kigyar, they are often snipers, or they use energy shields in one hand and a gun in the other, and attack you from behind their energy shield. The hunters, and this is one that I don't remember, Gelek Kolo, I think. It's like M. Megelek Kolo. It's something like that. But they are these colonies of worms, intelligent colonies of worms. Oh, my neighbor's washing machine just stopped going. Maybe you could detect a change in the background noise. What other aliens are there? There's the engineers. Oh boy, I really don't remember what their name is. Something Ugo Thop or something in that ballpark. That's not close, but it's in the general vicinity. Anyway, engineers are these intelligent, floating, tentacled creatures. Very smart. And the Covenant use them as like shield generators. In combat, they float around and pulse with shield energy. So it's good to take them out first. And then the grunts, of course. The grunts, the Ungoi, are as their name suggests, kind of the frontline beyond fighters of the Covenant. And here's a gross flood door. This is the wrong way. It's a little tunnel that you can fall down. We'll go back up topside and do it the right way, but it's a gross little sphincter of flesh. Lots of gross fleshy stuff when the flood gets involved. The Ungoi are cool though. They're very underdog type race, where they have rebelled against the Covenant multiple times and almost destroyed the Covenant. The Ungoi rebellions, they're so weak individually, but they stand together, they can threaten the entire Covenant, which is very cool. But then it's sad because the Covenant, I believe, controlled their reproduction or something as a way to defeat their rebellion and bring them back in line. They released some kind of gas or something that made it impossible for them to reproduce, I think. And that's the way to go through a sphincter. Yeah, all these gross, fleshy growths. Yeah, those are all the major Covenant alien races. Oh, there are drones. The drones have a name, something with a Y. As I've said before, I'm not the tip-top Halo lore guy. I really like the Halo franchise and have very fond memories of all of these Bungie games, but when it comes to the lore, one of my best friends was always the big Halo lore guy. And here we are on a map that might look a bit familiar if you watched my Halo 2 video. This is called Last Resort. And you can shoot those birds if you want, but I'm not going to, because they're just peaceful birds. The blurb for this map is, remote industrial sites like this one are routinely requisitioned and used as part of Spartan training exercises. So this is a remake of the Halo 2 map, Zanzibar. And it is a wind power generation station on the island of Zanzibar, off the east coast of Africa. And there are all these little structures off in the distance that you can't actually reach, that I find very interesting, because they, I just wonder what they are. Are they old houses? Are they old pieces of the power station? They look kind of industrial in a sense, but I don't really see the purpose for them if they're part of the power station, They look like watchtowers or something. But this is a classic map. Zanzibar was a great map, and is an all-timer Halo map for me. And in the remake here, Last Resort, it is pretty much the same map, but just expanded a little bit, with a few more pathways, a couple extra rooms, another door or two, little additions. We've got some palms off in the distance. Very gorgeous little beach zone. Definitely one place that would be nice to hang out. Bring your beach towel and a cool drink. We got some seaweed washed up on the shore. It feels very homey to me. I grew up on the east coast of the United States, and was close enough to the ocean that you could get there pretty easily. So on, special occasions, occasions or fun days off or whatever. Could go down to the beach. And it was cold. You know, I lived in New England, so it was often very cold water in the ocean. Some palms. Looking for some coconuts. But I have very fond associations with those beaches. I like a lot of varieties of beaches. There's a nice hot sand beach is always wonderful. Nice to go barefoot in the sand and just feel the hot sand under your toes and walk around, go for a swim, or just lie back and soak in some rays. There's the wind turbine and the little bridge that we can drop, which we'll go over there and do that at some point. I like this little design here, that little ruin, that big arch that's kind of crumbled. Sort of what I'm talking about, where it doesn't really feel like a part of a power station. It just makes you wonder what these old ruined structures are around the power station. Some old structure here, long before the wind turbine ever existed. I also like rock beaches, where it's basically just big boulders, and you can kind of clamber over the boulders, and they're all hot from the sun. Now, sometimes you go to the beach and it's not hot at all. Obviously, if you go there on a cold day, is one thing, but also the wind, if it's a windy day, and it very often is on the ocean, you can freeze up pretty well. It's very cool. The turbine is such a classic image for me of Halo multiplayer. And here we have Camp Froman, a little sniping spot. No smoking. No smoking. Put out that cigarette. They added this lower level. This is a new addition from Zanzibar. And there's a little hole you can drop from the upper level to the lower level. They've got these over here. Are these batteries, do you think? Big power cells, maybe? And here we can see why there's no smoking, because we have some sort of flammable gas moving through these pipes. And that's the little hole you can drop from the upper level. So let's pop up to the top of Camp Froman and see the little sign here. Camp Froman, a sniper rifle, and a man's face. And I believe Camp Froman was named for one of the developers at Bungie who would often snipe from this position on Zanzibar. And I guess his gamer tag was Froman or something like that. And this little path up here was also a new addition for this new version of the map. Just adding this elevated position following all the way along the back wall towards the base. There's a little hole, watch your step. 7. Zanzibar Municipal Turbine 7. Seven is a very common number in Bungie's games, or at least in Halo. The number 7 will often appear in their maps or references to 7 or whatever. And just like in Zanzibar, there's a little block right there. In Zanzibar, it's a gate, and this is those little bollards. And you can use this computer console, mobile network control, monitor, installation gate, status, secure, system functioning normally. You can use the computer and open up the gate to let vehicles in and out. And this area is quite expanded from the Zanzibar version. These big turbine things were originally in the playable area, and over here now they've been moved out of bounds, and the playable area has been made a large open room. And because this is Halo 3, you'll see things like the bubble shield that I have equipped in the top left, or I just walked over a power drain. And these are pieces of equipment that are new to the game in Halo 3. So the bubble shield drops a dome, a protective dome that blocks incoming bullets. But you can walk through it, so you can use it as a little base. And also, just like in Zanzibar, there is a little bridge here that you can pop this lock and cause the bridge to fall down, unlocking this section of the map to be walked. There's the turbine. Spin, spin, spin. And right here, you can get yourself an active camo. And then, my favorite thing, getting swooped up by the turbine. By the blade, I suppose, of the windmill. And then letting you go all the way up here. And you got this great view of the Indian Ocean. So this is High Ground. The map High Ground. And its blurb is a relic of older conflicts. This base was reactivated after the New Mombasa slipspace event. So, similar to the previous map, Zanzibar, this is a sort of asymmetric map designed with a sort of attacker and defender style of map layout. Where down here at the bottom of the canyon, you have one team spawn, and then up the canyon you have a base where you have the other team spawn. And I've said before, I kind of like maps that are designed like this. this asymmetric feeling. Sort of that innate sense of story that comes with something like that. Makes it feel a little more engaging to me. A little more interesting. Even when you're just plain Slayer, you know? And so, there's multiple ways to approach the base. A variety of entrances. And I think, it's my understanding anyways, that this map was originally designed to have automatic turrets on it that would attack the incoming team. The team that was trying to reach the base. But that didn't make it into the final game. So we'll walk up this little side path under the rocks. And here we get our first good look at the base. There's this little bunker. And this hatch here, you can blow that hatch open, by the way, with an explosive. It's a good view. So, the Earth side of the campaign takes place near New Mombasa in what was once Tanzania. And so this map is somewhere in that Tanzania, Kenya area. And from the bunker, there are a variety of pathways that lead into the base. So, there are lots of ways to get in and out of the base. Yeah, the Halo campaign is set in the aftermath of the Covenant attack on Earth. The Prophet of Truth showed up with his fleet and laid waste to Earth. But they came to this specific spot over sort of Southeast Africa and began to dig. They were using these big lasers from their ships to dig through the Earth's crust. And they were doing this because a portal, an ancient Forerunner portal, was buried under the Earth's surface, and the Covenant wanted to get to the portal. So the opening hours of the Halo 3 campaign sees you fighting off the Covenant on Earth and trying to figure out what the Covenant are digging for, as well as fighting off a possible flood infestation. And then the Covenant activate the portal, and you chase them through and arrive at the Ark. The Ark that I referenced earlier. And the Ark is this space station that builds the Halo rings. It builds the titular Halo rings of the Halo franchise. It can build entirely new ones. And it's also capable of controlling all the Halo rings. And in case you don't know, the Halo rings are these super weapons designed to eliminate all life in a certain area. And so if the Halo rings all go off, the entire galaxy is wiped of life. And the Ark is outside of the range of these Halo rings. It is at a safe distance, and so even if all the Halo rings are activated, the Ark is unaffected. And so this becomes a major issue in the campaign, because of course the Flood, the alien parasites, are a galaxy-threatening threat. And if the Flood get a foothold on the Ark, well, then they're outside of the range of the one weapon that could destroy them. And then it's pretty much game over. And so, bad news, the Flood does get onto the Ark. And what happens next? Well, you'll just have to play the game to find out, I suppose. I wouldn't want to spoil the ending of the Halo trilogy. And once the trilogy was over, Bungie was still, I believe, contractually obligated with Microsoft to make another Halo game. And so their next game was Halo Reach, which came out in 2010 and served as a prequel to the events of the Halo trilogy. And Halo Reach is kind of cool because, as a prequel, they ended right where Halo CE begins. The very end of Halo Reach is the very beginning of Halo CE. And that's a pretty awesome game. Halo Reach is a phenomenal Halo game. And we will be going to Halo Reach for another one of these map exploration videos. Here we have a sort of missile pod system. Looks like a SAM turret or something. Or one of those, like, missile trucks. You know what I'm talking about? I feel like they're like Russian or something, or I associate them with Russia. The big trucks with the big grid of missile I mean, I don't know enough about military technology to even identify that thing, but you know, those rectangular missile pod type things. So this is a good map. I like this one. And I suppose I should talk about Forge. Forge is a game mode, or a new feature added in Halo 3 that allows you to sort of design and customize maps with weapons and terrain and such. And it allowed the community to begin to get a lot more creative with their custom games. Here we have some medical equipment. Maybe this was the infirmary for the base. And up these stairs. And I believe this circles around into the bunker. Well, I guess there's a variety of pathways from here. Got some lights hanging from the ceiling. This place needs a cleanup. It's filthy. Power coils. Those explode if you shoot them. So be careful. And there's that hatch from earlier, which, as I said, you can blow up, and then it forms a new entry point into the bunker. And what do you say we head back down to the water and get another look out at the horizon before we move on? Just have to cut out some loud notifications from Steve Downs saying 30 minutes remaining. So we're just skipping over that part. Look at that gorgeous view. Isn't that beautiful? And here is the map. Foundry. Foundry. The blurb here is, after the orbital elevator fell, supply warehouses sending munitions to space were soon abandoned. And the orbital elevator is referencing the space elevator in New Mombasa that is destroyed in Halo 2. And you see it's the consequences of it falling in Halo 3 ODST and Halo 3. And so this map, Foundry, is basically just a giant empty warehouse. Now I know what you're thinking, empty? What do you mean? There's crates everywhere. Well, all of these items are forge items, valid pieces of forge terrain. I like this little vacuum cleaner here. Everything here is a valid piece of forge terrain, which means it can all be deleted in the forge mode. And once it's all gone, you're left with a giant empty room. And that's quite significant because many of the best forge maps, the forge game modes from Halo 3, were built in this big empty room. Of course, there were lots of amazing forge game modes that were built elsewhere, but yeah, Forge was incredible. Some of my fondest memories of playing video games with my friends were spent on Forge and all of the custom game modes and custom maps that people designed. Names, that might be familiar to you if you played any of them. We played like Ice Cream Man, Fat Kid, Jenga, Protect Obama, Garbage Man. There's just a lot of classic game modes. like Jenga. And also, it's been a long, long, long time since I've played any of these, so forgive me if I mix up the names or, mess up which names go with which game mode or whatever, but I'll just talk about a couple of them. Jenga was a bunch of people on a precarious platform, a sort of platform made of physics objects. And then there would be somebody on the ground far away, and the platform would be like suspended over a death zone. And there would be somebody far away who would be chucking items at the physics objects to try to destabilize the whole thing and make people fall to their deaths. And so the fun of it was trying to jump around on this shaking, precarious platform and not fall to your doom as your friend is, chucking like forklifts at you or whatever. And kind of a similar vibe of game mode was Garbage Man. It was a bunch of people in a narrow tunnel, and then there was one person up at the top of the tunnel. The tunnel kind of swooped upward, and there was somebody up at the top, and they had a whole host of junk up there, hence the Garbage Man, because they would take that junk and they would push it into the hole, and it would go flying down the tunnel, hit the curve, and swoop down the tunnel. And if you were standing in that tunnel, you would have a high chance of being hit by the thing that's coming rocketing down towards you. And of course, if you got hit, you would die. And so the Garbage Man's goal was to kill everybody in the tunnel. There was one. Was this Fat Kid or is this a different one? There was one game mode. It might have been Fat Kid. I think it was, but I could be wrong. The game mode was you were basically in this obstacle course, and the obstacle course would have little things that you had to. It's in the name, obstacles that you had to overcome, like a bunch of crates that were blocking your path, and you had to smack them enough times until they kind of fell apart and you could get past them. But it was this very narrow obstacle course and kind of a maze. And everybody would be, going through the maze. And then there would be one person who was very slow, who would be following them with like a gravity hammer. And his goal was to catch the people going through the maze and kill them. And the people in the maze were trying to escape to safety. And I don't remember what was at the end. Maybe guns that were strong enough to kill the guy with the overshield. But the main part that I remember was navigating the maze. And any time that he got one of you with his gravity hammer, that person would switch sides and become a person with an energy sword. And they might have been fast. I think they were. They might have had active camo. I don't remember exactly, but they had an energy sword and no shields, I believe. And they would come running through the maze to try to catch people. And the players had shotguns, so they would be, freaking out, watching out for the guy with the hammer or the people with the energy swords. Anyway, I could talk about custom games on Halo 3 for a long time. Many, many fun hours spent playing those. But I have run out of footage, so instead, I'm going to say thank you for joining me in my exploration of old Halo 3 maps. And I will see you next time, my friend.